Welcome to The Card is Going to Change, presented by AIW and Smart Mark Video, and this is Awesome Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Glenn Moore, and joined in studio, like always, this week, Chandler, Biggins, and John Thorne, co-owners of AIW. Yeah, first time put Chandler over.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the first time I've ever gone first.
Undeserving.
19 episodes.
That's because I know Teddy Hart was at work.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Let's get into...
It's gonna make me quit AIW, this fucking argument. This is gonna be the
Last one.
be the argument that collapses the fucking not so empire.
Unsolved Mysteries, Teddy Hart.
Oh my god.
Well, let's get into Bloodsport, a show that took place here on September 9th. Had a stacked card, but the talk of the evening was not anybody who was on the card. It was a special...
She was kind of on the card.
Huh?
She was kind of on the card.
Kind of. Made an
She
appearance.
appeared live.
Yeah. Was Ronda Rousey, my bae, my celebrity crush.
Rock your beautiful body, Glenn.
Whew. Yeah. Ronda Rousey. They are chilling for 5 hours and then going to the bar, just hanging out, taking pictures with a smile on her face, no complaints whatsoever. Just, I talked about it on my show. This is Awesome Wrestling Show, but I got to get you guys... You're chiming in.
Well, you make it sound like it was so easy. It took quite a bit to get her there.
Well, I know there was a total backstory to it. You had fans rushing to her car when she initially pulled up.
Chased her off. She took.
Yeah, we thought that was it.
I saw it. She literally skedaddled out of the parking lot.
We knew that she was coming for about a week, but I didn't really believe it. Like,
Well, I think it was even longer than a week that we had an idea that she might, but it was the Saturday before that it was official.
yeah, it was about like maybe two weeks or 3 weeks before the idea was presented.
Wasn't it pitched as, what if she came? What can you accommodate?
Yeah, well, it was just like, what if she came? It wasn't even accommodate. It was like, would it be okay if she came? Stuff like that. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, sure, of course. Fuck, I was, and then it became like, it's a maybe. It's like something that's being considered. And then I would say that Saturday before the show, it was like 100% that she was coming, and her. So we had booked Shayna a flight to do the match, and then what kind of the hold up or whatever was, hey, what if I don't use your flight? Are you going to be mad? And I was like, well, how would you get here? Like, this is how it was presented. And I was like, well, how would you get here? And it was, well, Ronda Rousey wants to drive me
From Venice all
and I was
the way
like,
here.
What do you mean? Like, from fucking where? Like from California.
Ow.
And I was like, what? So the story goes is Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, and Jessamine Duke were supposed to have an all-girls elk hunting expedition where they went out into the fucking frontier hunting elk with just guns and their fucking killer instincts. Something happened to where that couldn't happen, and then I also heard all these other crazy stories of them hunting crocodiles with their bare hands and shit. These girls getting into some fucking wacky shit.
Way more manly than either you or I or Glenn.
Right. But Glenn was told he had to rock his beautiful body.
And I did.
But, my initial response was like, that's the weirdest fucking text message I've ever got before. Hey, what if Rhonda drives me because our elk hunting all girls expedition had to be canceled? And I was just like, okay, so are you guys gonna come and like hunt us? Like,
Surviving the game.
so she's coming, and I don't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing this week-long cross-country girls trip.
And then purposely, Jasmine and Shayna are taking pictures without Rhonda. So then we're like, oh my God, did Rhonda not get in the car? Or?
And like, I don't want to ask, you know what I mean? I don't want to push it and ask. But it's like, I'm getting updates like, we're on the road. we're gonna be
In
here.
Idaho.
Like, we're in Utah. We're here. That morning is, what time do you need us to be there? We're in South Bend, Indiana, eating breakfast. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. But I still don't think that they're gonna come. Like, I know Shane is gonna get there, but I think the other girls are just gonna
Drop her off and leave.
go do things, because like UFC's in town. There's all sorts of their friends were around. So I would say like 4:00, I get a text that's like, hey, Rhonda's going to drop us off and she's going to go work out. And I'm like, okay, there it is. She's not coming.
Yeah, because of UFC in town, there's a lot of people she knew, and
Her boyfriend was in town
and her
fighting
trainer
stuff.
Edmund, and
So she, I guess, she pulls in and fans run up to that car and they get fucking.
one fan.
Yeah, it was one fan, and he tried to
Justin Doan, legendary figure. No,
He's a rapper.
The artist behind the "Go Hard Like Leonard Bibbs" song.
So he walks up to the car. Well, he runs to the car, and Rousey's in the driver's seat because she switched seats
And
with
trying
somebody.
to pull out her door handle.
Yeah, he pulled in the door handle, trying to get a selfie. And Duke is just like yelling from the trunk because she was getting Shayna's stuff out, yelling, "Get the fuck away from the car!" And then Rousey just, as soon as that trunk closed, she was out. She was out of there. And Justin's like, "She'll be back. She'll be back."
Doan does look like a squirrely individual.
God.
Yeah, so
And I was like, "That's it. She's not coming back."
yeah, I didn't think she was coming back at all. But they keep saying she's coming back, and the show's going and stuff, and she's not there. And Aaron Bauer saves like a parking spot for her, just in case she comes back. Well, sure enough, like 8:30, Jessamine is like, "Where's that guy? Where's that guy? Where's that guy?" She's here. So me and Aaron go outside, and Aaron moves his car, and here she comes in this big ass fucking Range Rover or some huge SUV.
Yeah.
And I gotta help her fucking parallel park on the street, and then she just gets out and she's fucking super cool. I didn't know, I didn't know how she was gonna be, because you never know with people like that, I guess.
Yeah, 'cause she's probably the biggest female athlete in the world.
Yeah, so
Definitely A-lister.
so yeah, then she just starts mingling and
You got to talk about when you're meeting her on the sidewalk, who just randomly else was on the sidewalk. Noelle Foley and Frank the Clown.
Oh yeah, that was I didn't see them. So I take Rhonda to the locker room, and I take her to Shayna, so people can meet her or whatever. And then someone runs down, and they're like, "Hey, Noelle Foley is backstage at gorilla position," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, because they followed you guys in because they saw Rhonda.
So I go up, and they're just like, "Hey, is this the door to go in?" And it's the door to the fucking entranceway. So I put them up on the stage or whatever, and I just went down to hang out with fucking Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, Frank the Clown over Ronda Rousey. If you pick that, you're
Frank the Clown's a
fucking
nice
idiot.
guy. What's wrong with Frank the Clown?
The whole gimmick pisses me off.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
Why,
he's
does he
nice.
put watermarks on videos?
I'm the first fucking person to put a watermark in a video.
Frank the Clown. I think Aaron Bauer was going to beat Frank the Clown up because he thought Frank the Clown was a Cleveland wrestling personality, but we'll leave that to Aaron Bauer. But everybody was cool. Rhonda, she had a line waiting to take pictures with her in the locker room, and she was nothing but accommodating. She was awesome. I don't think a person of her celebrity would be as awesome as she was. But when Thorne told me they were driving in, though, I said I was going to flip out if Rhonda came in with a bunch of receipts trying to get trans money.
Yeah, we never really approached that situation.
Celebrity net worth says $17 million, so
Well, you know how true the internet is.
Yeah.
everything's real.
So yeah, she was super cool, and just she took pictures with everyone, mingled with everybody, and then the rest of the show besides that was a fucking spectacle of weirdness with Dan Severn and Matt Riddle, and of course the main event with Shayna versus Heidi, but then there's all these weird people that I don't watch MMA or UFC really, like, so there's all these like broadcasters and stuff.
Well, it's funny because like we have always tried to get coverage from the Observer and everywhere else. PWI Insider gives us decent coverage. Shout out to Mike Johnson, but Meltzer never really puts us over because he didn't really put over indie wrestling. And all of a sudden, like Meltzer wrote this big thing about AIW. If you're in town for UFC, AIW is the place to be.
Yeah, because this was like a weird experiment we decided to do because like everyone kind of latches on to like the big WWE shows like WrestleMania weekend or Royal Rumble weekend or whatever the fuck, and we're like, UFC's never been here before. We didn't know like what that would bring, you know, like because like if you think about like the big WWE shows, it's like a circus coming to town. They get, you know, they bring in all sorts of people, you know, traveling in and things like that. And like I said, we're not super familiar with like the world of MMA whatsoever. So we're like, UFC's never been here before. Let's try something weird, you know?
And then, you know, not only was UFC coming here, but then it turned out that it was going to be the Punk fight because it kept getting delayed for like a year and a half. It just was weird that UFC was here and then Punk was here. So we thought like there'd be a definite wrestling connection then because.
But we had announced it, I think, and booked it before the Punk fight.
Yeah, because
we were just trying to latch on, and we were like, let's just, you know, we booked Severn for J-Lit. We had been booking Shayna pretty consistently, you know, and everyone's loving Matt Riddle, you know, on the indies.
And we figured those would be like three things that would draw like the casual wrestling, casual MMA people.
Well, more you know, we're just like, let's try to get this, you know, this weird crossover of if UFC is bringing people into town and, you know, creating this kind of like buzz throughout the town, like let's try to latch a pro wrestling event on that has 3 former UFC fighters on it. So it was definitely like a gigantic gamble because we didn't know, you know, we could have tried this and MMA fans, UFC fans, whatever you want to call them, could have been like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, because there's never been like a definite proof of the crossover. Like people have thought there was, but there's definitely no proof. But definitely seemed to work out.
Yeah, so like we put this together, and then you know we start doing some other things like the guys from Wrestle Pro or whatever. Pat Buck is like, hey, do you guys want to split Grado? Do you guys want to bring Grado over on this weekend? So we're like, yeah, fuck, we love Grado. And we just,
if anything was going to draw MMA people, it was going to be Grado versus
exactly, you know, Grado. And then, you know, because Punk was fighting, you know, we booked Colt Cabana, and we're like, oh fuck, let's do this Colt Cabana versus Grado match for the first time. You know, we knew like none of the people that were coming for potentially the MMA thing were gonna care about that, but that match is actually why Noel Foley and Frank the Clown came because they wanted to see Grado versus Colt Cabana, and they were in town to see Punk fight. Which they sent us like a DM or something.
Well, they were talking. They just started randomly talking to like AIW fans that morning or afternoon at like the
open workout or something.
Yeah, open workouts and stuff. And then they're like, "Oh, there's wrestling in town. Grado versus Colt Cabana," and that sold them on it. And then they DM'd us, and they were only supposed to stay like 20 minutes or a half hour. They were just going to stop in, but then they liked everything they saw so much they stayed till the like very end.
Yeah, Noelle Foe was a big fan of Nasty Russ.
She loved the Jollyville Fuckets, man. Loved them. And then, you know, we also have Dominic Guarini, who's one of our students, who is very well versed in, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you know, has trained MMA. So we're like, let's throw him on there, because he fit kind of with the theme of the show. We thought it would be like a good opportunity to kind of, ease him in to a singles match. I think it was his first AIW singles match.
Yeah, I think so. And then if anybody hasn't seen it, check out. There's a YouTube video with like him explaining himself.
Yeah, and like his history and where he's come from. And we put him in with BJ Whitmer, who is just like the best, like good brother veteran, just ass kicker dude.
Yeah, he just whips the students right into shape.
And some people, probably think that's the wrong way to do it, but you need one of those fucking grizzled guys to kind of, bring some of these students up to speed, and kind of, teach him in the ring. And I think, it was a great learning experience for Dom. I think, he more than held his own, which, I don't say it too much, but I was pretty proud of his performance in that match. And I think, the fans really, really, really took to him.
Yeah, and then, so anyways, first half of the show happens, then intermission happens, and we get this huge rush of people. And here was people coming from UFC, and I didn't know these people, but...
Yeah, I guess the weigh-ins went till 8 o'clock or something.
Ariel Helwani was there.
The dudes, John
Pollock, Wei Ting.
Yeah, the guys from the Law Radio.
And Fight Network.
And the Fight Network. And
a bunch of other people. Like, these dudes come in, they pay at the front door, and then all of a sudden, fans are rushing them as soon as they walked in at intermission. And I was like, who the hell are these guys? But I guess, they're all big deals.
Yeah, and earlier in the day, Shayna had asked me, if her photographer friend could come, which I was just like, yeah, sure. I didn't know, who or what she was talking about. And, it's, she works for a huge MMA news website.
Yeah, Esther Lynn.
And, she did this awesome photo set that got, they got picked up all over the internet. Like, it was weird how it worked out because, the crowd wasn't like a gigantic crowd, but, by any means, but we did all right. But the publicity that came from that and all those people being there is still, we're still seeing things, like we're still seeing news stories popping up, and here, we're like almost a month removed, and we're still getting these stories and these, these photo sets going out, and
what was crazy about the crowd was it seemed like a lot of the regulars couldn't make it because of whatever reason.
Because I think they spent all their money on UFC. Because the one thing we didn't take into consideration, not knowing a lot about UFC and MMA, is how expensive it was to go to UFC and just experience it. I think the cheapest ticket was like $50 or $60. So with Cleveland being such like a blue collar town, I think that more than tapped into people's entertainment funds for the weekend.
Yeah, and also the one complaint I was hearing a lot was we ran so much this summer, which usually we go light in the summer, but since August started, we've run every 2 weeks.
And as dumb as this sounds, we went against a Slayer concert that also affected
Slayer, and then I heard Joe Rogan as an excuse.
Yeah, so we went against all these other events, but we still had a really nice turnout for comparing to what we did, and then all these different journalists in the crowd just got us so much publicity. Like Ariel Helwani is still sending out tweets about it, and I talked to him briefly, and I don't know too much about him, to be honest, but I talked to him, and he said, dude, this is my first live wrestling event I've been to in like 10 years. He is like, Dave Meltzer told me to come, which blew my fucking mind.
And the one thing I heard from all the MMA people was that they were wrestling fans that got converted to MMA fans, and they kind of turned their back on wrestling, but they thought our show was like
it was intriguing to them to come see these people like Matt Riddle and Shayna Baszler make the transition, and then Dan Severn he's made the transition long ago. He was just kind of like icing on the cake for them, but they really wanted to come and see how Matt Riddle and Shayna Baszler kind of adapted to the new environments.
And the one cool thing about how diverse the crowd was because of UFC, we had probably more out of town people than probably any show this year. Like we had people that introduced themselves from Texas and like California, New York, a lot of Chicago people.
Yeah, so it was definitely like a cool thing for us to do. I would say it was a very successful experiment. Just because we got exposed to people that either had never come before or had no idea who we were, and now we're continuing to get that exposure through these like the Law guys talked about us on their radio show, and like all the Ronda Rousey stuff. Like when I guess at the end of the show when she appeared, that was one of her first public appearances in almost a year, 6 months or something like that. So that got like huge publicity for us. Like picked up on like
her
Fox.
first official appearance anywhere. I mean, she's been like paparazzi'd, but it was her first like official appearance since she lost the belt.
Yeah, like other than like doing the Ellen show or some shit. I don't.
Yeah.
But like, in which we didn't even ask her to do that. like she just decided that she was just going to go and do it, which kind of blew my mind. And I talked to her. She came, to the bar afterwards. Which funny story about that is like she just wanted to go eat, and she wanted to go somewhere where people would just leave her alone. So I was like, oh, I know just the place. We'll go to the Hooley House in Brooklyn because nobody's ever fucking in that bar. They're in there until like 11:30, and then it just clears out for some reason. It's really
Not
weird.
everybody's going to be there after every show.
But so we call and we're like, hey, can you keep the kitchen open? And they're like, yeah, it'll be open for like another hour or something. And we're like, can you make sure it stays open? They're like, yeah, for another hour. We're like, we're bringing Ronda Rousey. I'm like, yeah, okay, it'll be open for another hour. So then we walk in and there's nobody in there, and then they see that Ronda Rousey is really there, and the fucking staff just starts going like losing their minds, which is kind of a fucking just a bizarre thing to see, because after like we talked to Ronda Rousey, she was just like a normal fucking person. Like her fame kind of like, I don't know, dissolved or whatever.
Yeah, it was like super weird to see somebody you had just seen like on the Ellen show or in public. All of a sudden, she's just a normal person.
Yeah, and like my sister ended up being like, driving them around and stuff, which is fucking weird. And she told my sister, she's like, I'm just an ordinary person. I just got an extraordinary opportunity, which I thought was kind of like,
Real profound.
Yeah, real profound quote, for. And it made so much sense.
And then we almost had a thing ruin the night at the Hooley House, though, when some like 45-year-old woman decided that Ronda Rousey was going to be her target.
Yeah, this lady like wanted to try to start a fight with her so bad, and like Ronda was just having none of it and just left. But it was just some lady probably trying to get rich or something, you know what I mean, or trying to get her her name in a headline. But she was like, she was talking shit to Rousey about losing her fight or something. And it was just like she was probably other than our group, she was like the only other person in the bar.
Which, if there's anybody in the AIW locker room that night that I was scared of, probably the 3 horsewomen were probably the scariest.
Yeah, so I mean, it was definitely a bizarre and cool experience. And I told her, I told Rhonda, I was just like, hey, I don't know why you decided to appear in the show or whatever, but I said, I just want to let you know how much I appreciate it because I don't even think you know what that's going to do for us. And she goes, no, I know. She's like, and I just want to let you know that I appreciate that you actually appreciate it because most people would just have that expectation of me to do something or demand that I do something. And you guys never asked me to do anything. You guys just took me in your locker room and just let me hang out and, just be with my friends. And it was just such a cool environment. She's like, I figured I would do that for you guys because, I knew what it could potentially do for you. And I wanted to do something cool for you guys because you guys treated me so well and welcomed me into your locker room when you didn't have to, which I thought was, another cool thing. I'm sure people can like misconstrive that or whatever, but she was like really genuine and wanting to do something that was, that we would be able to kind of, use as some sort of a springboard or something to, get our name out there because she was also so appreciative of how we've been working with Shayna and things like that.
And like, if you didn't know she was Ronda Rousey, one of the biggest celebrities in the world, like she just was like another person in the locker room. Like she was just one of the boys. Yeah,
which was so, it was a weird experience.
Like when you see Ronda Rousey and T Money just hanging out in the locker room, that's something.
Yeah, or like Ronda Rousey and fucking, I don't know, Dave the Potato.
Oh, she loved Dave the Potato.
Yeah, she actually loved Aaron Bauer more than anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Bauer was like her personal assistant.
And then like the other cool thing was it was just so awesome having like all the UFC people together in the locker room because it like there was like a kinship.
Yeah, it was just like a weird thing. Like I would suggest that any indie company that's around where UFC is running should definitely try this experiment because I think it worked out pretty well for us. And like I said, a lot of our regulars fans couldn't make it. We still had a nice core, but we drew in so many out of town people and outsiders and people that were just looking for something to do on a Friday night that were just here for UFC. So we got more than enough, I think, crossover to have made it work.
And the funny thing about the regulars is I don't think I've ever got more messages, and I know you did too, the day after going, oh man, if you would have told me Ronda was going to be there, I would have came. But it's like if one person knew, she would have just not came.
We were just told don't advertise it and things like that because I guess she has stalkers and stuff like that, so she doesn't really like anybody knowing what her location is. So of course, when they said they were coming, we respected that because the last thing I was gonna do was piss them off before they even got there. So we didn't tell anybody, we took a select kind of crew of our diehard fans, and we set up a private meet and greet with her downstairs, which she probably took 25 or 30 fans down there, and let them meet her and stuff like that, which she was more than happy to do.
Yeah, it was totally real discreet. We weren't really promoting it because she didn't really want any too much interaction with the general public.
Yeah,
which I don't blame her because it's her life must be nuts.
Yeah, so that was cool. She was she took pictures or met with anybody we asked her to, or anyone that walked up to her. She had conversations. And I guess Glenn, we'll let you tell your story here.
Which part? I mean,
you rock your beautiful body.
Rock that
brother.
beautiful body, man.
So we're in the gorilla position, waiting for
it's the Traxler position.
Traxler position, whatever. So waiting for the match before to end, so she can watch the match. So she was literally sitting on the little rampway, watching through the curtain the whole match for Shayna's match. So I'm sure some people probably saw her peeking through if they really looked hard, if they're paying attention. But so before that, it was me, Duke, Rousey, and Britt Baker, and a few other people. Dawson Potato was there. So I my plan for the night was for her to chop me. I wanted her to chop me, and I didn't know because she was scared. She didn't know me. I can go and sue and whatever.
And I guess that goes into part none of us really knew how she was gonna be.
Right.
And then once you got around her, she was just a fucking she'd be somebody that you just want to hang out with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was just cool.
She just seems like the coolest person in the world.
She was one of the dudes, kind of.
Yeah. So after that, we got we knew that she was
incredibly hot
cool.
dude, though.
Yeah. So she was very, very cool with everybody, very open about her career, talking to anybody that came up to her. So it was just random. I'm like, you should chop me. She goes, I'm like, chop me. And so she did it once, but she could tell she was holding back. And I got in her face. I'm like, you fucking chop me right now.
Whoa, bro.
I'm like, give it to me 100%. And she's like, okay, you better fucking ask her for it. She reared back and she fucking chopped me, and I had a bruise on my chest for about 3 days after of her chop, and it was the most amazing thing ever. So she wanted to see the red mark because I knew I had a big ass red mark on my chest, and I'm very self-conscious about my body the way I am. So she goes, I want to see it. I'm like, in front of everybody, I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna lift my shirt up. She goes, rock your beautiful body. Let me see it. So when Ronda Rousey can tell you to fucking take your shirt off, you're taking your shirt off. So lifted my shirt up. There was a handprint on my chest, and that's my Ronda. She followed me on Twitter, so I can slide in those DMs.
More than we got.
You motherfucker. But I feel like this is gonna sound super lame, but I feel like she kind of had this weird touching experience with everybody that interacted with her. I told some people this, we have been running so many shows, and I've been feeling so burned out and so just brain dead about wrestling.
Every couple of weeks, you guys been doing,
and it's just been so much to handle. That's one thing that people don't understand is yeah, we're running shows every 2 weeks. That may not sound like a lot, but it takes a fucking toll.
I'd say for a proper show, it'd take 2 months of preparation. So we're doing it every 2 weeks.
And it's just so much. And then, juggling your real life and your real job and your personal life and trying to figure out all these different shows and stay organized. It's just been brain dead. But honestly, interacting with Ronda Rousey and having her talk and explain her experiences directly to me and how much she enjoyed everything. And it was one of those things that just kind of gave me like new life to be like, okay, now I think I can get through, the rest of the year before I need a break, sort of thing. It was like she had this weird, like, motivating, like
she just like energized everybody who met her. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I know that sounds like people aren't gonna believe it, and people like roll their eyes, but like it is. I don't know how else to explain it.
She's like an angel.
Okay, that's a little much. But
she is an angel.
She's Eddie Murphy and Holy Man.
You fucking guys. She's not an angel, but she was like, she's just like, she had this weird kind of positive effect on people. Like it's really unexplainable. I've never seen really anything like it.
I think it was more because like there's a whole story about her being depressed and wanting to kill herself.
I didn't even know that story.
Yeah.
Oh, you were talking to Rhonda's two biggest fans now that we've met her, but before then, we just had general product knowledge.
Honestly, and I meant this when I told her this in the locker room. I said, "You're the first star of the movie Entourage that's ever been to one of my shows." Because I never seen her fight before. I only knew of her from like pop culture. I knew she was a fighter.
I watch every fight of her.
And she was in the movie Entourage.
And I never saw one of her fights either, but I know of her from Fast 7.
So Biggins was like grilling her about.
I'm like, how's Vin Diesel and The Rock?
How the Expendables?
We literally, honestly, like, so we've just gone through this whole podcast, and honestly, all we knew about her were her movies. Like that was literally it. Like I just looked at her in front of everybody, and I was like, "You're the first star of the movie Entourage that's ever been to one of my shows." And she was like, "I was hardly a star." I go, "That's honestly how I know who you are." And she thought that was the fucking funniest thing she ever heard in her life.
She loved that stuff.
But honestly, we do like. I've now gone and like have been researching her like crazy.
I watch The Ultimate Fighter with her now
because I'm like, if I only fucking like, I knew nothing about her. I knew she was fucking super famous, but I didn't know. I never seen her fight. I didn't know what she fucking did. I didn't, I just thought she was just like this girl that kind of caught on and now did movies. And I knew her, like, I seen the movies. That was it. So it was just the fucking weird. Now, since she's gone, like, since she's left, we've gone and we're doing all this research on her and shit. And it's just like, wow, I'm kind of glad that I didn't know all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a fan, really, of her. I just wanted pictures with her because I knew she was fucking famous. Yeah. But, like, that's all I really talked to her about was just like normal fucking shit, like being like a normal person. I wasn't like, oh my god, tell me about this fight with this person. Yeah. Like I didn't fucking know about it. I just wanted to talk to her about Turtle and Johnny Drama.
And there's nothing that gets you more over with real life friends and family and coworkers than a picture with Ronda Rousey. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, man, I'm super fucking over with at the old shoot job.
Well, and like I was saying, the whole like depression, suicidal thing, like she talked about it with Ellen. This is like her first public appearance with, the public, people she hasn't met. And I think it really helped her psyche. I know she's back in training and whatnot, but like her psyche for being out in public, because she's really, after she lost, people hated on her, said she was washed up, whatever.
Well, except for that lady she ran into at the Hooli House. She said all those things to her.
This is like a 45-year-old woman, and she was about to get smashed. I mean, legal-wise, it would probably been bad, but like just watching it wise, I would have loved it. The thing about Rousey is it kind of like overtook what was I thought was an amazing main event. I know it's gotten over with everybody but one guy I saw on the internet, but it definitely, like, Shayna and Heidi, for the first two women to ever headline a regular AIW show, like, I loved that match.
Yeah, man, like, that's one of those things that's gonna go down in history of this company. And it was, they more than delivered. Shayna Baszler's probably only had 20 matches at this point, or maybe less. Heidi Lovelace, is been fucking tearing it up everywhere for at least the last year and a half. But to put those two girls on last and for them to deliver the match they did, I think exceeded everybody's expectations of what they could have done. I was super proud of that main event. And the whole show, honestly, we've sat here, we talked about Ronda Rousey for fucking 20 minutes because it was so bizarre. But that whole fucking show is amazing, top to bottom. Riddle and fucking Linden was awesome. Severn and Kingston is fucking real short, but also awesome. It's exactly what you want to see for 5 minutes, which is just fucking Dan Severn dishing out fucking suplexes and them hitting each other really hard.
Isn't there more to that match than I felt? People I talked to said that match was built up to be something huge, but it wasn't. It kind of was a downer.
I guess Dan Severn fucking forgot and he just grabbed Eddie Kingston and started choking him for real.
Yeah, he choked him so hard.
I guess he got lost, so he just took it home.
Like I think Dan Severn forgot where he was and thought it was like a UFC match.
Let's not forget that Dan Severn is fucking in his 60s at this point.
Yeah.
So they're going. I guess as the story goes, is Severn forgot what was next, so he just fucking locked that choke on. And
Choked him for
he
real.
just locked that choke on and decided it was time to go to the fucking gimmick table and push his fucking patches.
And then back to like the comedic side, Grado and Colt Cabana, from what I saw of it, and I watched it on DVD afterwards, but I was just dying watching that.
Yeah, so I mean, we never fucking push anything or shill anything or any of that, but I fucking encourage everybody to buy this fucking show, AIW Bloodsport, because it is such a weird mix
Unique.
of fucking talent and just as a show in general. And, watch that fucking main event between Shayna Baszler and Heidi Lovelace, because it's fucking awesome. And the rest of the card delivered, too. There wasn't anything bad on the fucking card, other than how could I fucking... No, that's from... Never mind. We forgot to talk about Colin Delaney getting arrested last show.
Well, we can talk about that real quick. The show prior, the day of the show, Thorne gets a text at Against the World that Colin Delaney gets arrested in handcuffs.
Yeah, Colin Delaney came back for this one. Sorry I got fucking confused. But at AIW Against the World, I made that tweet that, first thing I saw when I woke up in the morning was somebody in handcuffs. Colin Delaney, to his credit, somehow weaseled his phone out of his pocket and took a selfie of himself with the handcuffs on and was able to text it to me. He was the one that got arrested and went to jail.
Bloodsport's his big return, big epic return.
But he did make his return at Bloodsport. No handcuffs, but still some pending legal issues that we cannot discuss. But just fucking go out and watch Bloodsport for the weirdness of the card. Watch AIW Against the World for the lack of Colin Delaney for being in prison, I guess.
Yeah. And 25 seconds of Ronda Rousey.
It's worth it. All right, that's going to be it. The card is going to change. Make sure to go on iTunes, leave a comment, leave a rating for us. We truly appreciate it. Just press that 5-star button. Also, our Libsyn, Google Play for your Android devices, and also Stitcher. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks.